This short video is going to illustrate to you the concept of straight line depreciation, which is the simplest and most common method of depreciation used in farm and ranch management decisions. Straight line is easy because it allocates or prorates the same amount of depreciation to each year of the useful life. So if you were going to use straight line, you know that the annual depreciation, the amount of the purchase price that you're going to put in each year, is constant. However, when you use straight line, whatever you estimate the salvage value, that will not be included in the depreciation. So essentially what you do is you take the purchase price minus the salvage value and divide by the life, and that gives you the amount of depreciation that you're going to prorate to each year, and it excludes the salvage value from that prorated depreciation. For example, looking at the little problem, we have a $75,000 purchase price, a $15,000 estimated value at the end of the useful life or economic life, and a 10-year estimated economic life. So the amount of depreciation each year is called annual depreciation, and it's equal to the purchase price minus the salvage value divided by the life. So it's going to be 75,000 minus 15,000 over 10, and that's going to be $6,000. Now, let me show you how you would do that in this table. First of all, let me take all these numbers out and show you how you would actually create this depreciation schedule. A depreciation schedule is nothing more than a simple table that shows you the year, and these years would actually be years like 2014, 15, so forth. The annual depreciation is the amount of that depreciation you're going to allocate or prorate to each year. This undepreciated balance is the amount of the original purchase price that has not yet been prorated or depreciated. And the accumulated depreciation is a cumulative running total of how much of the depreciation has actually been allocated. So let's start here and calculate this depreciation using the formula just illustrated. What we'll do is we'll go equals, and I'll take the purchase price. Now I'm going to hit F4 so I can make that an absolute reference, minus the salvage value, and I'm also going to make that an absolute reference with F4, divided by the life, and again I'll make that an absolute reference. So there's my 6,000. Because I made all of those absolute references, I can copy that all the way down, and there's your annual depreciation. Now this annual depreciation is not a cash an item. It's a proration of a cash amount that was spent when you bought this asset. So it's a non-cash, but it is an operating expense. Just like buying feed, seed, fuel, depreciation is an operating expense. It's just a non-cash because it's a calculated proration of what was actually spent earlier. Now the undepreciated balance, you got to be careful here because many times users of straight line depreciation will take the purchase price minus the salvage and then start subtracting depreciation. That's incorrect. You actually start this undepreciated balance with the original purchase price minus how much depreciation you took the first year. So this formula would be equal to the original $75,000 minus this $6,000 of prorated depreciation. So what it's telling you is of that $75,000 purchase price, you have yet to prorate $69,000. In the second year, your formula would be equal to the first year minus how much you prorated or depreciation in year two. And of course, now I can drag that formula. Now you should know at this point when I release the mouse that the undepreciated balance in year 10 will be the salvage value. And it stays, that same salvage value stays forever as long as you would actually retain or keep this asset. That salvage value is never to be depreciated. It stays, simply sits there as 15,000. This undepreciated balance, again, many times users will think of this as a market value, and that's absolutely not true. All this column tells you is how much of that original purchase price has not yet been depreciated. In economics and business, this undepreciated balance here a lot of times is referred to as a book value. So be sure and commit that to memory because that's a very common term for that undepreciated balance. It is a book value, but it is not a market value. Okay, the accumulated depreciation, it's just a running total. So in the first year, you actually claimed or prorated 6,000. In the second year, you took the first year plus the amount of depreciation in the second year. And then I can get that formula and drag it down. And you know now when I turn that loose, it's got to be $60,000 at the bottom because that's how much you're going to actually depreciate. Purchase price minus salvage is 60,000. These four columns, and again, remember this year column would be actual years, but these four columns actually represent a depreciation schedule that shows you how much depreciation each year is treated as a business operating expense. At the end of each year, it shows how much has not yet been depreciated of that original purchase price. And at the end of each year, it shows how much total depreciation has been claimed through that year as a business expense. At this point, you should sit down with Excel and build you a template that calculates straight line depreciation because when you take the next quiz in the course, it's going to ask you for some of the numbers that are inside this depreciation schedule, and you won't have the time to go actually build that table while you're taking the quiz. So you should sit down, build yourself a depreciation schedule, and have that available to use when you take the next exam.